Okay. Okay, doke. We'll just start with a little bit of vertical. Rising up the feet as well, if you like. Make it a bit bouncy, it's a bit cold. Just let the body sink down. Rise up. Okay, into the front and back. Really get some movement into the chest as well. Shoulder blades, let everything kind of open in this area. I like this. I read one of the quotes I really like from Keith made this compilation, and we were talking. One of them I really like is this: relaxation needs to be invited in by, and that's by Peter Ralston. Yeah. He wrote this incredible book on the principles of effortless power about his martial art, and this is one of the really great quotes in it. What he basically says in the whole book is we create the tension ourselves, and the only way you can get rid of it is by releasing it and basically stop creating the tension. So easier said than done, but these are some nice exercises you can also use. You'll start to letting a bit more release, less tension, more release. Okay, we go side to side. And again, the same thing, trying to really, this whole area, this whole band around the body, and think inside as well. So we tend to think kind of externally, but also think about the inside of the body, all the organs, your rib cage, the lungs, everything inside, and especially the spine. Just let everything move. And then just coming lightly into a rotation. And really now it's mostly in the hips. So it's really trying to, again, bring some movement into it. The main thing I want to feel here is if I feel the hips are tight and they feel like a block, I want to start to feel like I can find that the hips like independent, like the left hip, the right hip, left hip, right hip, and try and get them and then start to be a bit more independent, even though they're connected very loosely. They work together. I'm just trying to get us feeling like creating space in the hips, especially. Start to increase it a little bit more as well, if you like. Bringing the arms into it. You see quite a lot of the time if people start warm-up, so they do a warm-up. This tends to be one of the exercises we always do, or it tends to be the exercise we start with or something. And for me, it's like a really nice template for how we do Aikido as well, because you've got a really strong base, nice and grounded lower body. You've got movement originating from the hips. You've got hands being sent out and back to the body. You've got this nice big spiral running through the body. And it's a nice way to kind of restructure the body around the principles that we explore, especially in Aikido, but just general movement principles. Good. Okay, and then we'll go to this wave just through the spine. And then really now you're like going right under in the underside of the pelvis, the underfloor of the pelvis. And really like deep into the hip bones as well. So that just looking at really where the legs attach to the hips. And really kind of folding that whole area. Fold it and then open it out. Fold it, open it out. You got tons of movement in this place. Just explore it a little bit as you do it. Yeah. That's it. Yeah, and if you feel pretty flexible again, just start to kind of drop it a little bit more, maybe bending the knees a bit more. Bowing the back a little bit. For me, this one especially, even though it's about the kind of pelvis, tilting the pelvis and folding the pelvis, all this stuff, it's also really about the spine, so the whole spinal column. So let it start to kind of wave through. And just start to kind of release it a little bit, so don't always have to come vertical. And let it go to the side a little bit, and let it go to the back a little bit. And you've got two ways you can determine the direction. You can look in the direction. You can also use the hands as well. So we tend to use them together in Aikido, like the hands and the eyes come together. But just so that you can kind of, where I look, I'll go basically. So I want to go here. I want to go here. And it's not that the eyes are determining it, it's just that I look at where I'm going to go in general. If you imagine driving on the road, you don't look the other way, you look at. My driving instructor, when I first learned, he said, just imagine you're hitting something with your eyes, which was a nice way of like saying, this is exactly what someone told me in Aikido was. You basically look at the thing you want to engage with, or where you want to go. I'll explore this a little bit today. That's it. And then just really start to mix all the directions up. So you've got this kind of wave. The wave's a nice one because it's actually included in a lot of them, but you can also really explore really different kind of directions. So just start to play with them. Play also with the position of the feet. It will give you different range of motion, especially for these movements. So you can have like a wide horse stance. You can have like hand meet. You can be in like karate stance, kendo stance, whatever. Just play a little bit with the feet. Yeah. So good. Yeah, exactly. Nice, Adrian. Yeah, that's it. That's it. Okay. Good. And then just playing a little bit with the arms as well. So we'll look at the kind of arms as you go through it. And just play with, now really, you want to get the similar kind of feeling. So you can think about the arm, you've got the shoulder joint, and you've got the elbow joint, you've got the wrist joint, you've got the fingers, all those individual pieces. So you can really move the arm in lots of different directions. So you can do the same kind of thing. You've got the up and down, you've got this cross, this diagonal, you've got this diagonal, you've got this way pushing it into space, you've got this way rolling it around, and then you've got everything in between those. So just play a little bit with the arm and the structure of it, and just get a feel for just how it's structured. And just move through different movements, rolling across. There. talked about like fullness yesterday, nothing being empty. Keep the same kind of feeling now. So there's a tendency, like I do a movement, I'm doing it carrying the shoulder, and then this is all kind of dead. So get a sense that when you do these movements, like this kind of movement, I would imagine like bamboo or like grass, like everything connected from the ground into the body. And this feeling's like everything's really connected together. That's it. That's it. Play with both sides as well. And sometimes I like this kind of isolation work because you can really start to work in detail. That's it. That's it. That's it. Good. That's it. Good. Yeah, just let me swing. Good. Nice. Yeah, good. You've got an incredible amount of motion. Hopefully, if you've got a healthy shoulder, incredible amount. Even with an unhealthy shoulder, I've got an incredible range of motion with a broken shoulder. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, exactly. Good. Yeah. Possibilities are endless, really. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Good. Okay. We were looking last night at Tenshi Nage, and that really means like you're like splitting their hands. So you're doing like splitting actions. But first, what needs to be in place before that, and there's a lot of work needs doing. There's a lot of work needs to be done in including their hands. So work together. So really with each other, which is basically where they're gonna. And I always just think about a ball. I said this last night, but get the sense that the hands now like with a ball. And the easiest way to do this is you notice with a lot of arts, we'll start with like connected the hands. So let's start with movements like this. All these kind of movements Sensei does, you see in the videos, and this kind of work. So the hands can't not move together because they're being moved by each other. So just play just with palm contact and just move around the room, move around freely. But just get a sense that one moves the other. One moves the other, one moves the other, one moves the other. You do whatever movement you like with it. For me, it's going to tend to go into these kind of movements just because I've got sword work embedded in the body, but like that wants to do that, wants to raise, it wants to slice, it wants to cut, but just let everything go together. So just keeping the palm contact. There. So they're connected, but they're also soft as well, so that the contact's kind of pliable, we'd say in English, quite pliable, quite supple. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, very nice. Yeah. Good. Good. Then just go to this. It's like you've got the fingertips in contact, thumbs in contact, and then just feel again. You've got these kind of motions. Now again, they just move together. So as long as I'm keeping that contact, just feel they go together. It starts to like increase the body a bit more now. So just play with it, and just for now, feel that the whole structure is very, very, very supple. So don't worry about like coming into structure. It's too much. It'll happen anyway, but just get a sense of a real sense of like connected fluidity. It's connected. Okay. And just try one. This is a bit strange, but you can do this where you basically imagine the right hand leads. So the right hand's going to like pull away, pull away. Now the right hand leads, the left hand follows. Right hand leads, left hand follows. Right hand leads, left hand follows. Sometimes these are done in the dojo. It's a bit easier when you've got another person because you've got two thinking minds. You've got to kind of do it yourself a little bit with it. So imagine the left hand pulls, the right hand follows. Right hand pulls, left hand follows. Actually, it doesn't matter which one you do because they're both going to follow anyway. But just get this feeling that you can move one, move the other. Move one thing, move the other. That's it. Easy. There we go. Got it. Yeah, that's it, that's it, that's it. Yeah, there we go. Nice. Good. And this is where it starts to get a bit loose. So what you're going to do is now expand the hands out. So it's if you've got a ball here, like a, I don't know, like a, what's the dodgeball? It's like a dodgeball, like this kind of shape. You would use to hit someone go with a dodgeball. Just get them now like this. This is where it starts to become a bit loose. So they can start to split. They start to do their own thing now. Oh, this happens, and then oh, what do you do? So get a sense now that they're really revolving around. The key thing for me is feel like there's a point here in the palm connected to the wrist, and there's a point here. And I imagine them like clunk. So I imagine something like this. No, whatever you've got, but I imagine like something between the hands. So I imagine one moves the other. So imagine they're on two ends of a pole, basically. If you've got a globe or you've got a ball, they're on two ends, and one will just, again, just move the other. And try just, in this case, just imagine they're coming around the outside of the sphere, and they're always going to stay outside. So you're going to do these kind of things. Ooh. These are great. This is a great exercise also for wrist flexibility. There. There. And you can really move around as well. Move it around, it goes here, goes over the top, around, let it flow through. But they're always going to kind of maintain the, yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's it, that's it, that's it. Got it. Yeah, cool. Okay, and then I'm going to give you one restriction on it. So if you can do this, now what you can't do is this. So you can't move the hands away from the center. So what you're going to do now is like the spinal column, you're going to like keep along it. So you can do this, and you can do this, but you can't do this. So you can't now do something like that. So if you imagine you've got the ball, really what you're doing now is connecting to the center line. So the first one, just play with this. 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 And you might want to also expand the ball a bit. That's okay, but just keep that happening. So the hands are really moving like that. That. And again, this is really where we're going to go into like koku work. But just get this sense that the hands go together. And if you've got like a ball in the mind, you're kind of presenting the ball forward, up, forward, up, and then forward. You see a lot of old pre-war styles, like, you know, they do a lot of training drills in this sense, like Yoshinkan do these kind of stuff where they roll up the body with really wide postures. These are really basic drills you can do for koku work. Just about connecting the hands. Okay, good. That's okay, and this is a little bit where we go from like talking about connection work, unifying, and we start to talk about expansion and like outreaching. And like this is where we start to like really have the sense of expansion out. So what you're doing now is not only like this or this kind of movement or where the hands working together. What you're doing is like expansion out. So there's a sense of but in order for it to be expansion, I need to also be a little bit connected. So if I'm kind of expanding with no connection, it starts to go all over the place. Think about like the connected, they move together. And then this relationship from the center to the hands is going to like expand and open. So that just the physical distance between the center, the hips, and the hands is expanding and contracting. But the feeling never expands and loses. So even when it's not that the feeling gets weaker, the feeling gets the same. So that feeling of expansion is actually here, and then I just pass it, open it, and pass it out, and then down. So just have the sense that that feeling you've got here, strong connection, because the hands are very close to the center of the hips, let's say. And then there, 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 there. Something like presses out of it. But it doesn't like diminish as it expands. Just stays the same pretty much. But it can actually increase as you do it. You might find it increases. That's it. Yeah, and just play with the feet a little bit. You can also do this forwards, backwards, but just keep the hands basically moving on a linear line. Well, they're actually moving in an arc, but in terms of body work, they're just in a line. So play a little bit with the feet, because if you have a wider posture, you also feel a stronger base. So you don't have to be in hammy necessarily, but just get the sense of also you can be wide and be very narrow. And how does that change it? So, yeah, that's it. Okay. Now, if we're talking about expansion, or we're talking about unifying, expansion for me is when we go to copy work and it's like linked to breath work. So what will you do with the breath now? You can link it just to like breath work, breathing in and out. But actually, if you think about it a bit more, it's like how we use the breath, or how the breath translates to the body. So something like coming into the body and then leaving the body. And this kind of compressive nature of the body. Now, what I don't want to do is like, if I'm doing breath work, like, this is really shallow. It's like it's quite shallow. So I want a breath that's like full. So it's like, okay, and it's not necessarily locked to the breath. So I'm not actually care about the breath so much. The breath will just follow the body anyway. But it's like the intention behind it. So if I'm breathing quite shallowly, or if I have an idea of breath is like somewhere don't, I'm skipping through it. Imagine breathing like A to B. You go into hyperventilate, your energy just decreases. So get a sense that what you're doing is something else, like allowing the movement to breathe, or doing whole body movement cue work. It's really like something where the feeling's like this. And it's this sense that there's an expansion. And you just picture the lungs like expanding slowly. And then coming out. So that kind of feeling. And the breath is united behind that. But don't think about it too much. But it's more the kind of feeling of the breath. Yeah. That's it. There we go. Okay, so keeping that restriction of like the hands need to work with the center, you can also now feel that you rotate through it. So rotate, and then feel it at any point, you can also just raise through it. You can rotate, raise through it. You're going to start to come into like these kind of movements now. So this is where we go like into where we start to rotate it, and you start to come into these kind of kokyu patterns. And they're done with rotational movements. So just play with rotating the body. You can even, if you like, just go into tiny henko. I'm not going to do anything formal, but just get the sense of the hands working together, and they work along the central axis. Central axis. That's it. That's it. And just keep the movement flowing. Keep the breath nice and strong. That's it. Okay. Okay, just watch one thing. Is when you go into these kind of positions, when I lose contract or when I lose expansion, or losing connection is quite easy because the hands just start to do this kind of stuff. Or one hand moves and nothing else moves. This is lots of like connection between the hands. But the one that's really important for us is like in terms of extension work. So as soon as I go into these kind of positions, that's where I've really lost the extension in the body, because I'm basically working in full contraction with the arm. So if I go into these kind of positions, and then I'm like expanding out, I get locked in, and then like this. So if you find yourself with the arms like this, just remember that the arms are like full. So I always go back to this idea of like the arms thick, heavy ropes. They're really like that. The arms really want to function like this. They don't really want to function like that. If you imagine living the whole day like this, with the arms like this, it would be totally So if I had the elbows locked like this and I tried to do anything, it would be really, really difficult. So what I want to use is like use the whole function of the body as I've got it. Then I basically want these kind of movements. Now I don't want that to be lost as I go into a form. So I want that to be full still. And I want that to be flexible. But I don't want to get into these kind of positions. This is where I've lost the expansion. So just imagine all the time that feeling is there. So even if the hands come close to the body, they don't lose the extension. So the extension's always in like operation. There. There. That's it. Got it. Got it. That's it. Okay, good. Okay, so with that, we're going to go into tiny henko, but what I want you to do is now focus a little bit. You've got the hands, the hips, everything working together. So don't think about that too much. Just allow that to happen. What you're going to do is come to here, and I want you to think much more about what you do with the eyes now. So with the vision, you're really going to have the sense of going to the back. So it's about now opening out, expanding into the place, really being in the world here. And then in this case, you're going to really go to the back this way. So really allow that just to come together. So this extends out. And this extends out. Just feel that the hips and the hands are just working together now. So all this kind of connection work, just use it here. That. Just notice what you're doing, especially with the head, with the vision. Where am I going? And where am I? There. But just get the sense using tiny henko. Just explore it a little bit. And the main thing is don't watch the hands and don't watch the ground. So if you're kind of looking at the feet or looking at the hands, just allow yourself to be a bit more open. So you're a bit more kind of out in the world. Oh, I'm repeating myself. Good. That's it. Yeah. There we go. Okay. Good. Okay.
Mike, this is very useful. The thing with the eyes. This is very useful for me.
Yeah. I mean, it's a really simple instruction, which is just look up. Not look up. I mean, look out. Look out, right? It's really.
Yeah, sorry.
No, I mean, it's always the simple things that catch us out because we're kind of simple people. But I talk about myself. But yeah, there. Yeah. Okay, I want you to be aware now. If you're doing this with like a point, so if I imagine like a point and I go to point, so there's like point A, point B, and then back, point A, point B. If you've got that kind of look, just play a little bit with this. So you've got a very specific point. Now there's like, I've got lots of points on the wall. There's lots of things. Point. Just imagine I've got that point, and then I want to feel it as I rotate, pick a point, and I settle to it. So everything like settles towards it. Now in Japanese, we talk about like ishin. It's like where the whole body like goes towards one thing. This is where archery comes in useful because I just focus on one thing, one point, and everything aligns to that point. The whole body aligns to it, the bow, the string, the line, the arrow, and then I just keep that alignment, boom, and then I release it. So everything goes towards one point. So just get the sense now, we're doing with tiny henko is a bit difficult because you've got point A, point B. It's shifting in movement. That's very tricky. So archery in comparison is very simple because I've just got a still point. I Aikido, that point's kind of shifting all the time. So, but just get a sense you've got point A there. I reach out, connect to it. And as I come into it, point B. Now keep those 2 points the same. So point A, point B. And I want to come back to that point every time and just hit it with the body. And it's not about vision, it's actually the body. You're allowing the vision to, because we're kind of visual-based beings, most of us, especially me, but get a sense that you're going to hit it with the mind, but hit it with the vision, hit it with the body, hit it with the hands, hit it with the hips, hit it with the feet, hit it with everything you've got. So dum, 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 dum. And don't let those 2 points change. The mind will start to kind of wander. You'll start to lose your point. This is why it's better that they're really like pinpoint points. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. That's it. Got it, got it, got it. That's it. Nice. Okay, and then just notice what happens. I've got point A, point B. Notice what happens between that moment. So when I go from A to B, what happens? Now it's really interesting. I go like, I've got point A really clear, and then oh, I lose it, and then I find the other. Just get a sense that again, you've got that point, that point. I want it to almost be instantaneous, so that it's like go, go. And it's not about speed, but it's about, I don't want to like oh, and then find it like this way. Just feel like I connect to the point, and then that point's in the back of the mind, really, literally in the back of the mind. Go, and then from here, let it go. I just find it. So I know where it is, there, and I go to it. Dum. So it's like putting a pin on a map. I know where England is on a map. I know where Preston is on a map. I can go ping immediately. I don't need to think about it. So you want that kind of thing where I don't need to think about it. It just goes boom, dum, boom, dum. And that bit in between can be really graceful. It can be really full. It can be full of stuff, but I don't want to like switch off during that time. Yeah, that's it. Got it. Dum, dum. And then what I do with the head is really actually very important. But just notice what's happening with the head, with the eyes, as you do it. Yeah. Okay, great. But there's actually something interesting happen. If you look at this, you're not actually in Tiny Henko, you're not actually going from point A to point B. This is not what you're doing. You're actually just staying with point A, but you're doing it with the back. So if you think about it, you've got the partner in front of you, or I've got point A, whatever it is, there. I just move my body into that. So I actually maintain the connection here. I'm just not looking at it. So the person's here. It's about establishing a connection with that person so that we can move together, right? So just feel now, forget about the point B that's behind you. It doesn't exist. There's only point A now. There's only what's in front of you. But the interesting thing with Tiny Henko is that it's an irimi movement in, but I do it by rotating. So what I want you to feel, this is what I talk about when I talk about like pressing the space behind you. You roll the body and then I press into it with the back. This way. So it's got this full extension, but what I'm doing is actually connecting into this point with the whole body again. So I'm hitting it with the back, if that makes sense. So just try that. Just forget about the other point and just think about like what's in front of you, and you're actually rotating into that, pressing into that. Where the partner, it would be the partner. You would be blending into them, but yeah, that's it. You just want to like a full sense of the back. Just bring everything towards the back as you do it. That's it, Adrian. There we go. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and I get, it's always like, if you think about Tanenka like this, I've got position A, and then maybe I get one position in between, but I've generally got like position A and then position B at the end. Now, if I see those as coming into position, it will look something like I take position at the end. Don't see it as that, but see it as a whole process. So it's not about getting to a place and then bringing a posture in. It's about going into that posture. So think about that, and think about the whole movement is now coming into that position. But it's not a case that I get to the position, I get to the place and then I drop the position. It's feel that the whole movement is finding that position. There. And this is best done like really slow, very full. So you can really like study what's going on in between those movements. That's it. Yeah. That's it. Nice. Okay, this is where technical details really, really matter. Just watch this. If I do something like this with the hands, what does this look like? If I do something like that, let's say like that, I make it even more that. If I do something like this, for me, this is like curling the bicep. So this is like, I would like weightlift like this. So for me, this is like creating a block in the body. So even if I just do that with the fingertips, just all this tension here. Expanded open, and it's just following the same line as the person. So just imagine the hands, just play with the hands a little bit. If your tendency is to be like this, there's two basic tendencies, that or that. This is like draining off. Oh, I think I'm losing the connection. This is draining off and this is holding and this is draining. Just get something where you just hit the hand on the ground. Boom. So it's extended, expanded. Boom. Boom. Oh, okay, good. I'm back. Good. I lost you all for a second. Sorry about that. You've been busy. Oh, good. That's it. Yeah. Good. There's a really simple action that someone told me once. They weren't a teacher, they were a student. And they said, well, connection's really easy. We know when you do like this. So when you connect to something or you want to point something out, you want to connect something, you do something like that, right? You point at it, go that, or that. So we do this all the time, this kind of stuff. So, and then sometimes we go to Aikido and the connection's like mysterious and it's like, so it's full of stories and it's packaged in a lot of Japanese, maybe stories and blah. But when you do this kind of connection work, have that same kind of feeling. Now, what I'm not doing is like literally pointing with the finger. Like, it's not like, yeah, that, but it's that sense with the whole body, connecting with the whole body. So you're creating this kind of line of connection through the whole system. So just I want you to feel like you come now into the movement. And that, again, it starts right from the beginning. So it's not like something I come into at the end, like, and then go. It's just there at the beginning. And then I just translate it there. Now just feel from that position, just so you can shift it or you can rotate it, but it's basically essentially going to stay the same. That kind of connection out. So it's not locked to the system, but it's just fully extended. There. And then just feel you can go somewhere with it. That's it. Just play with it a little bit. So get to the position and then take it somewhere. Go. Get to the position, take it somewhere. And it doesn't have to be fancy. It's actually better it's not, but keep it quite natural. Yeah. That's it, Nick. Exactly. It's actually really easy. In Japan, they sort of look like carrying a tray around. So you get the tea tray and then you carry the tea tray around to the people. So they have a really simple idea of it, but like that, the weight underneath, under the tea tray, it's loaded there, and then I just move it. I just take it. So it's got that kind of quality. But we do this stuff all the time. We just don't think about it when we do it. That's the problem. So making connection work conscious is big, heavy, hard work, not easy. We do it all the time, picking up the teacup. That's also connection. Yeah, we're moving with a teacup. It's connection. But we do it unconsciously. That's the problem. So martial arts is annoying and great work because it makes those moments conscious, because I don't have a choice about it. Especially when I'm learning a new skill, makes those moments very, very, very conscious. Yeah, that's it. Okay, just try this. It's a little bit stupid, but just watch this. If I go here, now if I don't trust that I've got the connection, what I'll tend to do is watch it. I'll look at it and then I'll move. And then this happens, the whole body goes down. So, and I lose the ground basically. So just get a sense, play with that a little bit, but like what I watch, I'll move towards. So I'll go back towards the ground off balance. And just get a sense that what you can do is like something else, something more expanded. So it's got a different kind of quality to it. It's like, again, it goes back to expansion. So we're talking about connection, but we're actually talking about like expansion out. So I'm trying to fill the space and just keep it. And I'm trying to hold that all the time. So that's like where the martial art kind of being open and connected, it doesn't like come and go. It really just stays one thing there. And where I'm disconnecting from that is the kind of work. That's what makes it difficult, because we are coming in and out of it. But ideally, just stay in that kind of connected, open position. There we go. Yeah, good. Yeah, that's it. There we go. Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, it's actually a really good way to do it. Just take something, doesn't matter what it is, be like handheld, preferably a phone. Hopefully it's off, but go like this way, and then just do the same thing. I connect to it, and whatever I do with it, my weight needs to be underneath it, right? This is just logic, because the moment I do that, it slides out of the hand. So if I'm not grasping it, like I'm not holding it, I can just do something like that, right? Now, the moment I do something like that, it's going to start to slide away. The moment I do something like that, it's going to slide off. Oh, this is quite creepy, actually. I never realized. So I can play with it a little bit, but just play with anything. Pass it between the hands, move it, go into these kind of Tanhenko positions, but just something very simple. Something really simple. Hands working together again. You can do things like this. Move around, move with it, move with it, move with it, and then watch it. Just play with it, whatever it is. Preferably use something really fragile, like an egg is a good one. Not soft, not a boiled egg, a raw egg would be a really great one. I do this with the kids in the dojo sometimes. Yeah, with a hot cup of tea is a good one, yeah. Yeah, that's it. Good. It's kind of stupid, but it's actually just what we do anyway. So just happens to be you're doing it with another object. Yeah, that's it. Okay, pick another object. Try something else. I don't know what I've got. I've got some scissors. Oh, I've got a nice polystyrene bowl. Perfect. This is perfect. This is, if you can pick a perfect object for this exercise, this is it. Because it's so light. If I disturb it, it will go away. So keeping this palm connection is really what I'm looking for. Is like, if I really connect to something, just watch this. I don't connect to it like this, right? So I don't connect with it with the fingers. Oh, I don't connect with it with the thumb only. So I connect with it ideally with like the whole palm. So that's like palm contact. So when we do it in Aikido, it's the same. If you've got something that's quite light, I want it to kind of remain in the palm. And there. And there. So I want that to kind of hit the palm and stay there. So, yeah, good. And just notice what's different about the object. How are you relating to it differently? What is it different? Different shape, different weight, different texture. It's more fragile. You don't want to break it, maybe. It's a bit hotter, maybe. Why is it different? Yeah. Yeah, that's it. And just really open it out now. So be really playful with it. Move around, play with the handwork, passing it between the hands. 2 hands on it. Yeah, passing it behind the back. Good. Yeah, just really play with it. Yeah, over the head. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, that's it, Bettina. Nice. Yeah, 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 yeah. And again, it's just all going back to mobility. At the end of the day, connection work really requires mobility. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. That's yeah, good. Fun. Okay, good. Take a bokken. The last object. Take a bokken. So, okay, the bokken's like, for me, it's the perfect tool. So we don't really ever need to come away from the bokken, but it's nice to do sometimes just to get out to it. So what you'll notice with the bokken is it's a two-handed weapon. So both the hands need to work together. So both hands working together. Just go to where you were before and just relate into the bokken. But do it as if you've got it as a sword. So we'll stick to it like this. Keep the 2 hands on the sword and just notice. I mean, it's just going to happen anyway. The hands need to work together. If the hands start to separate or do their own thing, they will stop contributing to the connection. So just have the sense the whole body, hands connecting, is really working on connection. So, and again, just working on mobility is enough. Yeah, that's it. And just really explore the space. Yeah. So something really interesting happens whenever we pick up the sword. I notice this quite a lot. It's like goes, yeah, and then plunk. Everything goes like tunnel vision into the sword. So the sword becomes like the only thing I'm watching. And I start to do this, or I'm just watching the front hand. But really get a sense that don't worry about the hands. Don't worry about the sword. I know where the hand is, so I know where the sword is. The sword will follow the hands, hopefully. Unless there's nothing in physics which will say it won't, but it's going to follow the hands. Probably going to follow the hands. I don't really need to watch it. So get a sense there. It will just follow the body. So I don't need to watch the sword at all. Nothing in me needs to watch the sword. It's there in the peripheral vision, but I'm much more interested in the outside with the eyes. What's going on outside? And you start to open the space out. And you realize the more complex the movement is, the more I need to really use the vision to relate to the space. If I'm watching the ground, it's going to go one way. If I'm watching the sword, it's going to go into contraction. So I need something again like open expansion. Yeah. That's it. Okay, it's like we're talking really about two things, which are actually the same thing, but on one end we're talking about like connection work. So how to connect the body, which is about like unifying the body, things working together. The best image for this for me is like water. So if you think about water flowing, everything flows and everything goes together. It works all in one, and it also tends to go down into the ground. So it collects and it tends to like weight down underneath. So just use this as a kind of an idea. It's like water. I want to be really like flexible and fluid. My image with this is like a water drop. So it's like peaked at the top and then it comes down and then all the weight is underneath it. But it's also soft and supple. Okay, so it can take any kind of shape, but it does it all together. So you don't see like water particles will start to boom, boom, boom. They all go together. Woo, woo. So they all move together in a river or whatever, in a wave. They just kind of form together. So we're talking about connection work. Being mobile just goes this sense of being like something very subtle. For me, it's the feeling of being like water. Yeah. 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 Really feel that, let that feeling sink down as well. So not just you being water, but like also into the ground. Let the feeling like drain down all the way through the body into the ground. Yeah. And just play with it. And again, it's just really about mobility at the end of the day, with a special focus on connection, unification. Yeah. Yeah, that's it. That's it. And just really explore it. Also come down to the ground a little bit, bending the knees if you like. Yeah, good. That's it. Got it. Okay. Just watch this now. So if the two hands are on the sword, right? So they need to work together. What can happen is like one hand's actually pulling and one hand's kind of pushing. So what can happen sometimes is like this thing happening. Now what's happening is actually the sword's going to follow me. But what's happening in reality is like that. I'm kind of pulling away from it, or I'm doing this kind of thing with the sword. So again, get out. Just notice that that's happening, or it has a potential to happen, like that movement, like that. It's like pulling and pushing, but just get a sense the hands are just going to work with the center together. So there's this, but neither's in control because I'm not letting the hands control the sword. So it's really trying to let the center control the sword. The hands are just in contact. They'll just follow the center, but they're not pulling and pushing. All that kind of stuff. Just let the hands follow. And it's not that the hands are inactive, they're totally connected, but I'm allowing the center to control it, the sword. Yeah, exactly. Good. And we're pushing and pulling all the time. That is the problem. So how we like know about it and how we feel it and how we can try and orientate ourselves away from it. That's kind of the hard part. Yeah, good. Okay, so if we've got like connection unifying on this end, the other thing we're talking about is like expansion and extension, something like opening. So this is another way. The best image you've got for this is like fire, because it expands. It goes vroom. So it kind of roars and expands. Now, just imagine this. We're going to go into a little bit like Kamae work and striking work, but just get a sense now you're working on expansion. Now, obviously, I need to be relying on connection, but it's got something now where it's like opening out. So there's an expansion happening in the body or out of the body into the space. But you've got a feeling now of like this, really like coming and meeting the space. Really rolling up, meeting the space. So you can come to any position. They've all got a similar kind of feeling. But there's really a sense now of something opening, expanding out into the space. Just play a little bit with the sword. And again, those kind of simple ones are really the best. That's it. Yeah, that's it. Good. So. Yeah, and especially just one more point about this one. When you go into expansion, there's a tendency to think it's about like raising up. It's about something like lifting. Now, if you imagine like fire is like it's all sides, all every way. So it's going to like expand on every side of it. So the best example we've got of this is like right in the sky, the sun. It goes everywhere, right? It doesn't go like just for this way. It doesn't go just at the top. It goes like everywhere. So imagine when you do these movements, especially when you raise up, imagine that something's like down. This is like we're talking about grounding, but if you just go to like a sense of expansion, boom, this and this and this and this, they're all like expanding. So it's never just about one direction. It's always about every part of it. So every part of the extension. So even these basic commands, this, everything's just coming together. Just play a little bit with it. Go now into it because we've not done any, just the last couple of minutes, just working with strikes, but nice and slow. Going into movement. Just feel it's all nice and rooted. So you're bringing these two things together now. There's a kind of principle of inclusion to connect, and there's a principle of expansion to extend and reach out. And they really work together in balance. And they're actually the same thing, but that's another story. That's it. Good. Go. Good, right. Nice, got it. Nice, Keith. Great. Great. Okie dokie. We'll stop there. So this is just a really simple, you can do this with anything, and Yeah, connection work at the end of the day is always connection work. And the great thing is we are doing it all the time. This is like the training never really stops. I mean, we tend to have this thing, go to the dojo, put your kimono on, and then you go leave. It never stops because you bring it to your daily life and you bring your daily life to the training. It just is part of daily life. So we do it all the time. So enjoy it because it's great fun in the end. So yeah, we'll bow out. はい。どうも、ありがとうございました。
どうもありがとうございました。
Okie dokie, good. What a strange class.
Good one.
Good one.
Yeah, great class.
Thank you, Michael.
Hey, thanks a lot.
Thank you. See you
Thanks,
again.
Michael. Till tomorrow.
Till tomorrow.
Tomorrow. How do I stop the recording? That's the question. I just gotta leave the meeting.
I like your snail, by the way, Michael.
Oh yeah, you like it? This is
Another
from,
nice image, yeah.
this is from
Bye. Enjoy your day.
a Japanese artist called Sengai. Incredible artist. Nice snail with a spiral.
Yeah, beautifully simple.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Totally simple. Great.
See you tomorrow.
Great. See you later. Enjoy.
Bye.
See you soon. Need to cut the...
Michael,
Yeah, sure.
that thing you were talking about the other day of the Maasai guy who
Yeah.
was very snaky.
Yeah.
It reminded me of something I saw on the TV a while back. It was some guy living with African tribes. And they do this stick fighting with huge long sticks.
They're like flexible.
Yeah. And they kind of whip one another with them.
Yeah.
They're really brutal stuff.
Yeah.
And when you watch it at full speed, it looks really random and kind of a bit mad. And then they slowed it down, and you see their movement through their entire body. It's like, it's that snake-like thing you were talking about.
Yeah,
It's
really, yeah.
completely flexible and completely in the zone, and reactive. And
This guy's kind of interesting as well. Like you look at this is also interesting when you look at the weapons like people use as well. Like I've been looking with the nunchuck and stuff, playing with it because like it totally changes the way you use the body.
Yeah.
It changes the way I'm going to use the body because the weapon's so different.
Yeah.
I've got like a long flexible stick like that. I can't be rigid with it.
Yeah, the whole body becomes part of the stick almost, like a whip. So the whole body is.
I need to be part of the body. I need to be part of the weapon.
Yeah.
This is where you go like Western with a knife. And people like, I can get away with it. Yeah. But like I've got a big long stick. Or the archery, like the bow. I need to bring the bow into the body. Make it part of the body. You got like it's just really clear when you see it.
Yeah.
You're like, got it.
One other thing, I won't keep you for long.
No, it's fine.
Some rubbish film I saw a few years ago. It's all about magicians and stuff. And but there's one bit. One of the guys is like really supple and really good at body movement. And there's a sort of fight scene in it. This is always stuck in my head where this guy, this kind of big, brutal guy, is trying to get hold of him, and he can't get hold of him. And this guy's kind of like, he's almost like become one with him. He kind of slides over his back and between his legs and everything, and you just can't get hold of him. And it just made me think of that, again, the snake-like thing and being really flexible in your movement.
Yeah.
It's obviously very choreographed, but it's really...
You remember the name?
It's got Woody Harrelson in it. It's a pretty rubbish film. But there's a really good section in it.
Yeah, I think I've seen it.
I'll look it up and I'll
I think I've seen it. I'm pretty sure because it reminds me. I think I've.
There's about half a dozen magicians or something, and they're doing some kind of
like a heist. It's like a heist movie or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think
it's
I've seen
a bit
it.
daft, but there's
You've reminded me of one film. It's a really old kung fu film, and it's like kung fu versus yoga or something like that. It's really ridiculous. But this yoga guy that they got for it, incredible.
Yeah.
Because he's like totally, his joints just like go everywhere.
Yeah.
These two guys are trying to fight him, and he just like, they're kicking where his legs would be, and he's just like, boom, the leg just goes like everywhere. And then he's like rubber. He's like, you go like, this is like a snake, and this guy's like rubber, like totally like. Everything just goes. You're like,
he doesn't hold himself, so
he doesn't hold himself.
Somebody else can hold him, sort of thing.
Exactly. Yeah. This is the thing. It's like,
I find that quite interesting. I'm getting a bit old and stiff, but it's really nice to think about you know, just being really loose and supple in your movements and that kind of thing. Anyway,
the kind of connection work really requires it, because the moment I'm doing stiff stuff, I really can't really connect on that level. So.
Yeah, you've got to have the whole body working all the way through, haven't you? You know, you really got to feel that. Yeah. Anyway,
right.
That's it. I'll see you tomorrow morning.
See you later.
Cheers then.
See you soon.